I'm Liyana Hassanel and this is Nightline, the headlines. No more odor pollution. Sungai Semenyih water treatment to resume operation soon. And Ziyad's Tokyo Paralympics disqualification. Malaysian contingent files appeal. Good morning. No more odor pollution has been detected at the Sungai Semenyih water treatment plant, which will enable the plant to resume operations after it was shut down due to the pollution on Tuesday morning. Pengurusan Air Selangor Sendirian Berhad, however, said the water treatment system must first go through a cleaning process which will take about 14 hours before it can resume treating and distributing treated water to users. In a Facebook post, Air Selangor updated that the Sungai Semenyih water treatment plant was ready to resume operations after a reading of zero threshold odor number ton was recorded 3 times in a row as of 8 p.m. Following that, Air Selangor will share the recovery plan for affected areas in a media release at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. To minimize the impact on users, Air Selangor has activated a mitigation plan by distributing alternative water supply from Langat 2 and Labuhan Dagang water treatment plants to parts of Hulu Langat and Kuala Langat regions, which will benefit users in Kajang Baru, Kajang, Semenyih and Beranang in Hulu Langat, as well as Jenjarom, Teluk Panglima Garang and Pulau Keri in Kuala Langat. Earlier, Air Selangor announced that 463 areas will face unscheduled water supply interruptions following pollution detected at the Jenjarom Hilir Raw Water Pump Station at 11:10 a.m. In Sepang, 194 areas are affected, 172 in Petaling, 54 in Hulu Langat, 23 in Putrajaya and 20 in Kuala Langat. It was heartbreak for national Paralympian Muhammad Ziyad Zulkifli along with his fellow Malaysians as he was disqualified from the Tokyo Paralympic men's shot put F20 competition. The Malaysian contingent, however, reacted fast and submitted an appeal over the protest from a Ukrainian athlete that has led to the disqualification of Ziyad, who won the gold medal after he hurled to a world record-breaking distance. Ziyad put in a sensational performance to break several records to rise above the competition for the gold medal. He smashed his own world record of 17.29 meters set at the World Para Athletics Championships in London in 2017, recording 17.31 meters with his first throw. Ukrainian Koval Maxim was hot on his heels as he erased Ziyad's mark with 17.34 meters on his third attempt. The 31-year-old, who was the last in the field of 8 finalists to throw, responded immediately with a stunning effort of 17.94 meters. He then went on to hurl 17.62 meters, 16.31 meters, and 16.39 meters in the remaining 3 attempts. However, the 2-time world champion was later classified as did not start, resulting Maxim Koval, who had finished runner-up with 17.34 meters, upgraded to be the gold medalist, and joined by Alexander Yarovyi and Greece's Astratios Nikolaidis on the podium. Meanwhile, National Sports Council Director General Dato Ahmad Shapawi Ismail said that the protest against Ziyad made by the Ukrainian athlete over a call room violation is not valid and weak, as the judge in the call room had already allowed Ziyad to compete in the first place. Meanwhile, Youth and Sports Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Faisal Azumu in his Facebook account said protests from Ukraine were still being received, adding that protests from the Malaysian, Australian and Ecuadorian terms will be brought to the chef de mission meeting on Wednesday morning.
Di call room tu ada time dia masuk dalam tu.
Oh.
So tiga atlet ni lambat masuk dalam tu. Alasan yang diorang berikan adalah dia lambat masuk tu sebab dalam tu crowded, ramai. Call room tu is antara tempat training, tempat warm up dengan tempat pertandingan. Kata-kata ada call room. So jadi orang budak Ukraine dia tahu kita, manager Ukraine nampak kita lambat masuk, dia tahu. Okay, tetapi judges dalam call room tu ada judge dia. Judge tu yang akan melepaskan diorang masuk main atau tidak. So judge ni dah melepaskan dia orang masuk main. Maknanya dia inspection. So jadi kat situ bermaksud bila you dah lepaskan, mana dia dah boleh main. So protes apa-apa pun akan berlaku di antara selepas quorum dengan masa habis pertandingan. Barulah protes-protes tentang pertandingan. Dan kau protes tentang quorum masuk dewan, maknanya benda tu tak valid lah sebab kau dah lepaskan dia masuk. Maknanya benda tu tak valid lagi. So balik tadi bila diorang ni, diorang tiga-tiga negara sekarang ni counter balik protes. Ecuador, Australia dengan Malaysia, tiga-tiga tak setuju. So diorang buat protes, tiga negara hantar protes balik, counter protes. Bila dia counter protes, diorang dengar tiga-tiga negara. So diorang panggil the judge room, courtroom judge. So diorang tanya courtroom judge, kenapa you allow them to compete kalau kesalahan dia masuk lewat time dia tu. So dia kata dia benarkan masuk sebab dia kata dia tak nak delay dia pertandingan. So dia seolah-olah diorang ni bermain ada protes. So isu dia sekarang ni, diorang tak tahu pun diorang main ada protes dan mana ada clause under protes.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has outlined that social cohesion, national integration and racial unity is the key in tackling all challenges in the country, including COVID-19. Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Datuk Ahmad Faidal Shamsuddin said His Majesty also advised all to maintain good health and stay united in creating a safe environment to curb the pandemic. In a statement on Tuesday, Datuk Ahmad Fadil said His Majesty is of the opinion that the irresponsible attitude of certain quarters in defying the standard operating procedures and regulations set to curb COVID-19 would only bring harm to the community and jeopardize the National Recovery Plan. As such, His Majesty has advised the people to understand that efforts to curb the pandemic need social cohesion and cooperation of the people, leaders and government by setting aside political beliefs and disputes. This is to develop a strong symbiosis among all quarters to free the country from the pandemic. Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed his gratitude that as the country celebrated its 64th anniversary of independence, the people's unity and harmony remained as the strong foundation to maintain stability, peace and prosperity in the country. In line with the theme of this year's National Day celebrations, which is Malaysia Prihatin, the King also called on the government to continue formulating and lining up action plans to help the people affected by COVID-19 and restore a healthy economic climate. He decreed that the people should continuously be protected and empowered to face the negative impacts of the pandemic. His Majesty also urged for the national COVID-19 immunization program to be intensified in order for the country to achieve herd immunity and the people to continue upholding the principle of Malaysia Prihatin by getting themselves vaccinated. Al-Sultan Abdullah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria also prayed for the country to continue to be blessed and protected by the Almighty and spared from calamities, as well as harmful impact of COVID-19. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has called on the people to embrace the theme of the 2021 National Day celebration, which is Malaysia Prihatin. In a post on his official Facebook page, the Prime Minister state that caring is a trait that must be present in every community in the country. According to Datuk Sri Ismail, with a sense of prihatin or caring, each individual in the country will be able to empathize with others, take care of the safety and health of the community, as well as unite to fight against the enemies of the country. As such, he said Malaysians should embrace the theme and be caring, adding that he believes the country can break the COVID-19 chain of transmission and remain peaceful and prosperous. The 2021 National Day celebration was held under the new normal at Dataran Pahlawan Negara, Putrajaya on Tuesday. Datuk Sri Ismail, however, attended the celebration virtually as he is in self-quarantine since Monday after being identified as a close contact of a COVID-19 patient. Malaysia celebrated its 64th National Day on Tuesday, the second year it was held under the new normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite that, the celebration that took place at Dataran Pahlawan Negara in Putrajaya was filled with elements of patriotism and the spirit of the Malaysian family. With the theme Malaysia Prihatin, various programs and performances with patriotic elements were held in compliance with standard operating procedures (SOPs), with the physical presence of a limited number of people while others watched virtually. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and his wife Datin Sri Muhaini Zainal Abidin attended the celebration themed Malaysia Prihatin virtually as the Prime Minister is in quarantine. Among those present physically were senior ministers Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali, Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein, Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof and Datuk Radzi Majidin. The celebration started at 8 a.m. with 3 members of the Royal Malaysian Navy raising the Jalur Gemilang, accompanied by the national anthem. This was followed by the reading of the Rukun Negara and shouts of Merdeka by representatives from various frontline agencies and departments.
Merdeka! 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 Merdeka!
The highlight of the 2021 National Day celebration was the air show, involving Royal Malaysian Air Force assets with the roaring sounds of the jet fighter engines which reverberated in the air. The formation flight was led by Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Nur Azan Othman. A video clip of the song Malaysian Family with lyrics by Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa was screened for the first time, as well as the screening of a music video titled Menang Bersama. Meanwhile, the Merdeka spirit remains high among the people nationwide, who marked National Day with meaningful celebrations on Tuesday, albeit under the new normal and on a smaller scale. In Sabah, the National Day celebration was held at the State Administrative Centre in Kota Kinabalu for about an hour and limited to only 150 attendees in compliance with the standard operating procedures (SOPs) set to curb COVID-19 transmissions. At the state-level event, officiated by Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Haji Jinor, 10 frontliners were given recognition for their sacrifice and dedication in serving the community during the pandemic. Each of them received a memento from the state government in appreciation of their deeds. In Pahang, the state-level 2021 National Day celebration ceremony took place in a moderate manner in compliance with the SOPs at the compound of the Kuantan City Council. The region of Pahang, Tengku Hassanel Ibrahim Alam Shah, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah, attended the event and was received upon arrival by Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail and other state leaders. The celebration began with a Guard of Honor parade, followed by the raising of the Jalur Gemilang and 7 shouts of Merdeka. The event was also aired on the state government's official Facebook account to enable the people to participate online. Elsewhere in Negeri Sembilan, about 60 people, comprising state leaders, department heads and frontliners, marked the state-level National Day 2021 celebration at Wisma Negeri in Seremban. Yang di-Pertuan Besar Negeri Sembilan, Tuanku Muhriz Ibni Almarhum Tuanku Munawir and Tunku Ampuan Besar Negeri Sembilan, Tuanku Aisyah Rohani Tengku Besar Mahmud, also graced the event, which lasted only about 30 minutes in compliance with the SOPs. The ceremony began with the recitation of dua by the State Mufti Datuk Muhammad Yusuf Ahmad, followed by the recitation of Rukun Negara pledge led by Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Aminuddin Harun, the raising of the national flag and singing of Negaraku. For the Kuala Lumpur Road and Transport Department, or JPJKL, the current COVID-19 situation did not dampen their spirit in celebrating the National Day. officiated by its director, Muhammad Zaki Ismail, at the JPJKL headquarters in Setapak. The Kibar Jalur Gemilang campaign was launched to spread the patriotic spirit and encourage all to raise the flag in conjunction with the Merdeka celebration. And in line with this year's National Day theme of Malaysia Prihatin, Zaki urged all traffic offenders to make use of the 70% discounts given by the RTD to settle their summonses before September 16th. The compound reductions will be given to summonses issued for offences under the Road Transport Act 1987 and the Commercial Vehicles Licensing Board Act, including cases that are in the blacklist. Increasing trade and investment, as well as reactivating the entry of tourists from the United Kingdom to Malaysia, are among the plans to be carried out to contribute to the country's recovery and development post-pandemic. This was revealed by the Malaysian High Commission in the UK after a flag-raising ceremony in conjunction with the 2021 National Day celebration at Rumah Malaysia in London. TV3 correspondent Haliza Hashim has the details.
The raising of Jalur Gemilang and a small National Day celebration was attended by the heads of department, deputies and their spouses. Immigration, Defence, Education and Tourism are among the departments under the Malaysian High Commission in London. The singing of Negaraku and the recitation of Rukun Negara lifted everyone's spirit as 2021 remains a challenging year for all and as a year of recovery from the COVID-19. Malaysian High Commissioner to the UK, Zachary Jaafar, who began his duties in early August, is planning various bilateral engagements but will monitor the development and regulations of the host government before carrying out any physical activities.
Meningkatkan hubungan dua hala Malaysia-United Kingdom ke peringkat yang lebih tinggi dan juga meningkatkan lagi kadar pelaburan daripada United Kingdom ke Malaysia. Dan mengaktifkan semula trafik pelancongan dua hala atau yang terlebih baiknya daripada United Kingdom ke Malaysia. Kerana bersama dengan pihak Tourism Malaysia dan syarikat penerbangan Malaysia, Suruhanjaya Tinggi akan berusaha untuk mengembalikan dan kalau boleh meningkatkan bilangan pengunjung dari United Kingdom ke Malaysia supaya ia dapat menyumbang kepada pemulihan dan pembangunan industri pelancongan kita di tanah air. Selain dari itu, kita juga ingin meneroka peluang-peluang kerjasama dalam pelbagai aspek, termasuk dalam aspek teknologi tinggi bagi menempati dasar pelaburan dasar perindustrian IR4 yang telah dilancarkan sebelum ini.
In his speech, Zachary called on the staff of Malaysian High Commission in London and the Malaysian community throughout the UK to embrace the concept of Malaysian family introduced by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. He added that being away from Malaysia should not stop anyone from having a meaningful celebration. Despite the relaxation of movement control orders in the UK, but due to various constraints of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Malaysian High Commission is still unable to hold a National Day celebration with a large number of guests.
With life almost back to normal here in the UK, and in spite of some concern over the pandemic, we never stop thinking of our families and friends thousands of miles away. We shall continue to pray for the well-being and safety of fellow Malaysians back home. Haliza Hashim, TV3, London.
In Indonesia, national pride remains strong among Malaysians, despite the moderate celebration of the 64th National Day at the Malaysian Embassy in Jakarta on Tuesday. The event was held under strict health protocols involving some 70 diplomatic officers and embassy staff due to the ongoing lockdown measures in the country to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. The closed-door event at the embassy's compound began at 8 a.m. local time with the raising of the Jalur Gemilang flag, accompanied by the singing of the national anthem, Negaraku.
Merdeka! Merdeka!
The brief ceremony was made more lively when the attendees started singing patriotic songs as the national flag decorated every corner of the embassy.
Ya, sambutan Hari Kemerdekaan pada hari ini diadakan secara berkecil-kecilan, memandangkan COVID-19 masih lagi berleluasa. Ada kekangan-kekangan yang kita perlu akui dan kita perlu ikut di pihak pemerintah.
No physical activities to mark National Day involving Malaysian citizens and students were conducted in the Indonesian capital. Despite the new normal, various Ambang Merdeka programs such as photography competition, quizzes and poetry recitation were held virtually by the embassy throughout August to nurture the Malaysian diaspora community's patriotic spirit.
Merdeka. 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 Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan yang ke-64. Merdeka.
Klang Valley's NRP transition to be discussed on Wednesday. The details when we return. Welcome back. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob will chair the first meeting of the Special Committee to address COVID-19 on Wednesday. Among others, the committee is expected to discuss new methods to manage the pandemic. According to Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa, the main issue to be discussed would be on the transition to Phase 2 of the National Recovery Plan (NRP) for the Klang Valley, which has now achieved a vaccination rate of over 80%. Datuk Seri Ismail recently said that Klang Valley could soon move to Phase 2 of the NRP, since 89.5% of its adult population had completed the vaccination. To transition into the second phase, the utilization of beds in the intensive care units should be at a moderate level, and at least 50% of the adult population should be fully vaccinated. Another threshold indicator is the number of daily hospital admissions for COVID-19 symptomatic cases in categories 3, 4 and 5. Budget 2022 will strive to ensure that no person or business is left behind in receiving government assistance and support. Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said it will also serve as a catalyst towards the implementation of the 12th Malaysia Plan, 12MP, that will drive economic growth, inclusiveness and sustainability in the medium term. According to Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul, Budget 2022 would be drafted with the expectation that the economic situation would recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic next year. As such, the upcoming federal budget will focus primarily on continuing to protect and restore the lives and livelihoods of the people and businesses, rebuild national resilience, and catalyze post-pandemic reforms. He said this in a 17-page pre-budget statement for Budget 2022, the first in the nation's history, which was released on Tuesday. Budget 2022 would also be formulated with priority towards continuing programs to support and spur economic recovery in line with the gradual reopening of the economic sectors through the National Recovery Plan (NRP). This include rebuilding the resilience of the nation's public health system by enhancing its capacity and quality, strengthen human capital in public healthcare, and foster closer partnerships between public and private sector health providers. It will also address potential lingering and longer-term effects of the pandemic crisis on public health and economic structure, as well as ensure continuity in policy and assistance provided to the people and businesses. Digital infrastructure and applications also need to be upgraded to enable the education system to adjust towards supporting online education from home. And emphasis would also be given to accelerate the country's transition towards the Fourth Industrial Revolution, IR 4.0, and digital transformation. Budget 2022 would also continue to protect and drive recovery of lives and livelihoods post-pandemic to ensure the nation is successful and able to exit from this crisis. The government would also undertake various engagement and consultation sessions to obtain input and suggestions from various parties to ensure that the drafted budget is comprehensive and inclusive in line with the Malaysian family spirit. Budget 2022 will be tabled at Parliament on October 29th. Meanwhile, the direct and indirect tax collection stood at 67.4 billion ringgit or 56.2% of the target and 24.8 billion ringgit or 59% of the target respectively as of July this year. In the 2022 pre-budget statement, the MOF said the estimated tax revenue collection target for 2021 is 162.1 billion ringgit, which is 10.3% of the gross domestic product (GDP), including the collection of direct taxes of 120 billion ringgit and indirect taxes of 42.1 billion ringgit. The ministry added that revenue collection for the first half of 2021 was lower than expected, and subsequent collection is expected to decline. This is due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the implementation of the Movement Control Order, which has affected business activities and income of traders, leading to an increase in the number of those who have lost their income. Thai PM grilled in another no-confidence vote. This and more on the foreign front up next. Nightline continues. Thai lawmakers on Tuesday began a no-confidence debate targeting Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha and 5 of his cabinet members, with the opposition focusing on charges the government failed in its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The opposition, Phua Thai, accused Prayuth of incompetence and complete lack of knowledge, resulting in failures in several areas of national administration, specifically in the management of the coronavirus pandemic, causing the death of thousands of people and extensive damage to the economy and businesses. They also questioned the Prime Minister's honesty in the procurement of a certain make of COVID-19 vaccine, despite its inferior quality, and likened the government's vaccine procurement policy to putting the people in peril. Meanwhile, organisers of ongoing anti-government street protests have vowed to step up their separate efforts during the debate to force Prayuth out of office. It is the third no-confidence debate faced by Prayuth since he came to power after a 2019 general election. The debate is scheduled to last 4 days, with voting by the lower house set for Saturday. The Taliban says Afghanistan is a free and sovereign nation as it hails the complete withdrawal of US troops after 20 years of occupation. The group described their departure as a historic moment and have now taken charge of Kabul's airport. Speaking to reporters from the airport, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said America was defeated and the group wants to have good relations with the rest of the world. He also promised Afghans that freedom, independence, and Islamic values would be protected. Over the past 2 weeks, a massive but chaotic airlift by the United States and its allies succeeded in evacuating more than 123,000 people from Kabul, but still left behind tens of thousands of Afghans who helped Western countries and fear reprisals by the Taliban. The Taliban will now face what could be a series of major crises as they fully take over the government. Action from the US Open. Sports coming up next. Sports. Tennis, the US Open. Top seeds Daniil Medvedev and Roberto Bautista Agut booked their place in the second round as they both beat their respective opponents in their opening round matches. Medvedev put on a dominant display against Frenchman Richard Gasquet, winning the first set 6-4, before wrapping the second set 6-3. The Russian then continued his momentum in the final set, closing it out 6-1. Meanwhile, in another match, Bautista Agut was also through to the second round after eliminating Australia's Nick Kyrgios in straight sets. The Spaniard started out brightly by winning the opening set 6-3 and taking the second set 6-4. He then rounded off his victory in style after dispatching his opponent 6-love. And that's it from Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, we leave you with the Keluarga Malaysia official music video performed by singers Ara Johari, Masha Mashita, Putra Muhammad and Sufi Rashid. The song was composed by Tan Sri Anwar Musa in response to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob's aspiration on the Malaysian family concept. Take a look. I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for tuning in and happy National Day to all Malaysians.